Shigeru Fujimoto is a man you likely never heard about. He is the 87-year-old Japanese investment maverick, who many people here call the Warren Buffett of Japan. This investment legend rose from the depths of poverty and bounced back from a near-total financial collapse twice, forging an unorthodox 70-year path to a staggering 1.8 billion Japanese yen. The story I'm about to tell you, how this man made his entire fortune with his own money, starts from his book, Shigeru's Teachings, Building a 1.8 billion yen fortune through day trading. Let's start from the beginning. Fujimoto was born in 1936 in Hyogo Prefecture as the youngest of 4 siblings in a family of rice farmers. His early years was marred with poverty, but instead of taking on his father's role as a rice farmer, he began working in a pet shop. But it was definitely not an easy path. In his own word, he says, "I was so poor, I had to save on commuting fares, so I often stayed overnight at the shop." Then his path took an unexpected turn when he was introduced to stock trading by a regular customer who worked at a securities company. This customer would visit daily to buy food for his sick dog. The tales he had of limitless opportunities and immense wealth through investing in Japan's growing economy piqued Fujimoto's interest. Yet, he was still too hesitant to invest money himself. At age 19, Fujimoto decided to leave the pet store and started a mahjong parlor in Kobe. Mahjong is a popular tile-based game in Asia that requires strategic thinking and risk assessment, and this game was immensely popular in Japan in the 70s. Within 10 years, he was running 3 establishments with 47 mahjong tables, where he earned a significant monthly income of over 2 million yen. Throughout the 70s and 80s, while managing his mahjong parlors, he started engaging more and more in the Japanese stock market, motivated by the tales of those around him earning millions and the incredibly strong Japanese economy, which at this time was the fastest growing economy the world had ever seen. His fascination with convertible bonds in the mid-80s marked a turning point, prompting him to sell his parlors in 1986 and dive headfirst into investing. This transition was driven by a potent combination of market foresight and an intense passion for trading. Fujimoto experienced immense success in the late 80s, amassing a portfolio worth over 1 billion yen in just 4 years. What goes up must come down, and Fujimoto's luck was about to turn. You might have heard about the Japanese bubble, and if you haven't, you really should check out my video on the Japanese bubble burst. But as the early 90s approached, it was an extremely tumultuous time for the Japanese economy. Fujimoto's portfolio suffered a lot, and his assets fell from 1 billion yen to around 200 million yen in less than a year. That's 75% erased from his portfolio and his wealth. But this was just the start of his bad luck, because in 1995, the great Hanshin earthquake struck Kobe with full force, and it devastated the whole city. Fujimoto's house collapsed and he narrowly escaped. The front door was completely crushed, but he and his wife managed to crawl out with bloody heels and knuckles through a window, barefoot. That day, he lost almost all his belongings, including crucial documents that served as proof of ownership for most of his stocks and bonds. At that time, the markets relied heavily on physical records, making it nearly impossible to reclaim these assets without proper documentation. The loss was so traumatic for Fujimoto that it led him to put his trading activities on hold for years. It wasn't until 2002, in the very early days of online trading, that Fujimoto resumed his investment ventures. At the ripe age of 66, despite having very little experience with computers, he purchased his first computer to engage in online trading. Bit by bit, he learned high-frequency computer trading and started utilizing 3 monitors for his day trading activities. Today, at 87, Shigeru Fujimoto still trades nimbly on these 3 monitors from his apartment in Higashinada Ward, Kobe City. His fortune has ballooned to around 1.8 billion yen, and he manages about 100 stocks at any given time. So, what is the secret to Fujimoto's wealth through the stock market? Particularly in a market that has seen minimal growth over the past 30 years. In fact, the Japanese stock market reached the same level it had in 1990 this year. Fujimoto's own take is pretty clear. It's not about the market as a whole, but about nailing the timing and picking the right companies. Take Toyota for example. With the overall market, as measured by the Nikkei 225, has had a very modest increase, Toyota stock has skyrocketed. We're talking about a growth rate for Toyota that's over 20 times that of the overall Japanese stock market. And Fujimoto doesn't leave his stock pickings to luck. He says, you've got to dig deep into the market, understand it inside and out. His portfolio, that over the years have gone through over 1,200 companies he's handpicked, is proof that his relentless research pays off. So, what are his main lessons? First, love what you do. Mr. Fujimoto lives and breathes stocks. From dusk till dawn, his life orbits around the stock market. Even his daily walks are occasions for stock contemplation. He says you have to keep an eye on everything that goes on around you. If, for example, you see more cargo trains than usual, packed to the brim with materials or goods to transport, that's an indication of a thriving transportation market. But Fujimoto also wants people to be cautious. He himself says that day trading is not for the faint-hearted or a playground for the beginners. After his 69 years in the game, he still says that he occasionally falls into big pitfalls. He emphasizes that you will always do mistakes, but the rule of the game is to do more right than wrong. The second lesson he has is to not follow others blindly. Chasing trends or investment gurus often lead to failure. This is because most of the information that the gurus or trends have given has already been acted upon. And on top of that, you have to do your own research. You don't know what the underlying motives for the guru is, so you better know what the underlying thing he's talking about is before making any sudden moves. He's even wary of influential figures like Warren Buffett, remarking that it's natural to see actions that inflate stock prices as manipulative ploys. His third lesson is, in Japan, focus on initial public offerings or IPO stocks. In fact, Fujimoto himself have almost made 200 million yen just this year from buying and selling IPO stocks. He says, in Japan, IPO stocks tend to go up because Japanese people love new things. It's really as simple as that. Because it is hard to be allotted IPO shares in Japan, Fujimoto usually buys IPOs as a secondary investment, meaning that he buys the IPO shares just after they've been released. This approach might give you a little bit less of an upside, but you can trade so many more stocks. His last and perhaps most important lesson is, only invest in what you understand. His investment strategy closely aligns with that of his expertise. He has a particular love for companies in the automobile, semiconductor, and trading sectors. And if a company falls within these 3 categories, he is on top of it, knowing their history, their strengths, their weaknesses, and potential for future growth like the back of his hand. Opting to invest in recent IPOs of companies like Ibis or Nippon Knowledge while bypassing Halmec Holdings, a Japanese company focused on female well-being, Fujimoto demonstrates prudence, aligning with Warren Buffett's principle: never invest in a business you cannot understand. So there you have it, the story of how Shigeru Fujimoto, the Warren Buffett of Japan, amassed 1.8 billion yen out of nothing. And I hope that you are at least a little bit more convinced that you can do the same too, whatever state you're in or whatever age you're in. As a last quote, Fujimoto says, "Age is irrelevant in investing. As he continues to trade with the vigor of a man half his age, his legacy stands as a reminder that in this unpredictable world of investing, persistence, strategy, and adaptability are the true currencies of success." Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you like what you see, please like this video and subscribe. And I see you in the next one. Sayonara.